love, is he not? Is he
yes,
not?
and justice.
And justice.
Yes.
Right.
And wrath.
Well, he's
And
about all of
righteousness.
this.
Scottish Government, this is what you're allowing right outside of healthcare centres.
No.
You're allowing people like that, and that. Well, people go for rape counselling in here.
You read them?
Yes.
Okay.
Mary Todd, Nicola
I
Sturgeon.
want to see them.
As long as you don't take a position on buffer zones, this will continue to happen to vulnerable people who will get harassed and shouted abuse right outside your healthcare.
Women have the right to access abortion without fear or intimidation. To that end, let me say again to anyone wanting to protest against abortion, do it outside Parliament. Protesting outside hospitals or sexual health clinics targets women, not lawmakers, and it causes stress and anxiety to those accessing healthcare. That, in my view, is deeply wrong. I strongly support the introduction of buffer zones, and the Government is actively considering how this Parliament can legislate in a way that is effective and also capable of withstanding legal challenge. I'm also aware that Gillian Mackay may shortly consult on a Members' bill. On that latter point about legality, members will be aware that the law on buffer zones passed in Northern Ireland has recently been referred to the Supreme Court. The outcome of that may have relevance for any steps we take here. In the meantime, though, as we consider and hopefully resolve issues around national legislation, we will support any local authority that is willing to use bylaws to establish buffer zones. Finally, Presiding Officer, I am very happy to convene, and indeed I will personally chair a roundtable summit to discuss buffer zones and indeed any other matters that need to be addressed to ensure safe and timely access to abortion services in Scotland within the current law.
The First Minister will be aware of the loud protests outside the Sandyford Clinic in Glasgow yesterday. Not only do these protests intimidate many of the people who use these services, clinicians have contacted me to say it also forced the clinic to close particular rooms on one side of the building due to the amplification system the protesters were using. As part of the summit that the First Minister has just committed to, would the First Minister ensure that clinical representatives and trade unions are present, as well as patients' representatives, to ensure that clinicians are not subject to harassment when simply doing their jobs?
First Minister. Yes, I'll give that commitment. I would also take the opportunity to pay tribute to Gillian Mackay for the work she has done in this, and I hope she will agree to take part in the summit that we're talking about today. In terms of the protest outside the Sandyford Clinic, even if it was only providing abortion services, these protests, in my view, would be wrong because they cause women intimidation and anxiety. But there's a range of sexual health services provided by the Sandyford Clinic. The last thing anybody should be doing is making it harder for people to access those and making it harder for clinicians to go about the jobs they do. So I will appeal again, Presiding Officer, to those who want to protest. And let me underline this. It is a right in a democracy to protest. I am not questioning that in any way, shape or form. But the place to protest is where the laws are made. The people to protest too are us, parliamentarians, lawmakers. Allow people to exercise the right to access healthcare in the way all of us have a right to do, without any fear and intimidation and without added stress and anxiety. That is the decent thing to do.